and welcome back to a Transformed Life podcast. I am so glad you are here with me today on December 26th, the day after Christmas. And if you listened to last week's episode, it was all about the 25 gifts 2025 gave me. I hope you enjoyed that. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to invite you to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching this on YouTube. There are a number of views and not as many likes, subscribers as there needs to be. So every time you subscribe or you rate the show, that really helps the algorithm gods present this material into hearts and hands and homes and lives across the world. So that is one way you can support this mission and vision. And we really appreciate all of the support in that endeavor. So like I said, in 2025, there are so many lessons and gifts that were presented to me, and really, there are really difficult moments and really amazing moments. One personal one is I finished the Colorado 58 14ers. So Colorado has 58 14,000 plus feet tall mountains. And I have been on a quest since I climbed my first one many years ago to finish all 58. And the last couple of years, almost a decade, has been very difficult to complete that goal due to being in an abusive, I'm not going to say relationship, because relationships should not be abusive. In a abusive, dynamic, intimate partner, and in navigating that, and working on rebuilding my life from that level of destruction. And so this year I was just thrilled to complete this longstanding goal that I had. And so I did 11 summits in 12 days, and I finished on my birthday as a way to celebrate my birthday. I have had a history of celebrating my birthday in athletic achievements that always give back. And so this year, the cause was supporting families who have been torn apart by the family court system, whether it's through foster care, CPS, or straight up, divorce, custody. And I know what that is like. So that was this year's cause. And it was a great athletic endeavor. I need to do a podcast on that. Maybe I will do that in 2026, seeing as this is the last podcast for 2025. And it was just an incredible opportunity that I had to know that I still have my athletic gift and talent, and using it for the highest service of all. So that is one personal thing that I'm really, really proud of for doing in the midst of so much grief and heartache and, continued abuse, and how I can keep my power and still keep my life moving forward no matter what is thrown at me. So we are going to talk about 12 standards for 2026. And these aren't like the typical standards. I will probably do maybe a follow-up podcast to standards that I've always lived my life by, such as, just daily habits. Like, you already know, I don't choose to drink alcohol. It's just not a part of my life. It does not align with my values and the mission and the vision for my life that has been given to me. So that's one of them. Another one is quality sleep, really a standard around my time, how I spend it or use it. And so there are many standards. Another one would be daily movement, whether that's, hiking, running, climbing, cycling, swimming, weightlifting, yoga, Pilates, pull-ups, time in nature. There's always movement. So physical activity is absolutely a standard, as is proper hydration and proper nutrition. And then all of the self-care of, writing, journaling, really connecting with myself, with God, with Source, and neurofeedback, lymph drainage. If you're watching this on YouTube, actually I have it right here, so I will show you. But it's just this simple wooden gua sha tool, and so very gentle, kind of in the side of your neck, on your face. But this is, that is a standard I have of really taking care of my lymph. Your skin is your largest organ, and it absorbs everything, and it's not like your heart and lungs where it is regenerating. You need to regenerate it for it. So dry brushing is another standard I have. Really clean mindset, really working on whether it's, misaligned beliefs, negative self-talk, really having a really clean mindset. That is a standard I have. Anyway, with all that being said, we're going to dive into 12 standards that I live my life on. And I would invite you, as you listen to these, see which one resonates with you, see which one lands in your nervous system that you can implement in 2026. And even having one of these standards will up-level your life. And one last thing before we get going is there will be a link in the show notes to download a free PDF of 26 prompts you can use for Chat GPT for personal growth with love, life, and wealth. It's a really great resource. You can use these prompts to really dive deeper into elevating your life. And as always, if you need one-on-one support, please reach out and we will provide you the resources that you need to work with us in a contribution-based manner and really elevate your life. Again, our mission and vision here at Hope Rose is to bring health, healing, and hope to as many souls that desire it. So if that's you, please get in touch with us, and we would love to elevate your life and up-level your life, and whatever is stressing you out or feeling overwhelmed or stressed. Life is too short to live stressed and overwhelmed and frustrated. Let's get you aligned. Let's move you to an aligned state. All right, without further ado, here are the 12 standards. Number 1, I don't ask for permission to be who I am. If it's aligned, I move. I don't audition for approval. So really tapping into who you are. And this is a question that really trips up a lot of people. Who are you at your essence? Yes, your identity may be mother, father, business owner, founder, sister, brother, daughter, son. Those are all different adjectives, but really at the core of who you are. I did a podcast interview once and they asked me introduce yourself. And I said, I am love. I am love that is embodied in light and love that shines through. And I know it sounds very woo-woo, but that is the essence of really who I am. And there's so much noise on who you are, especially with looks and identity. Your identity is who the Creator, God, Source, made you. And so really sit with that of who am I? And I don't ask for permission to be who I am. I am love, period. Number 2, I don't negotiate my self-respect. I can be warm and still be firm, and my dignity isn't up for debate. And really holding this boundary of, again, it starts internally with me. I know if I'm not being respected externally, that means there is typically, I am not respecting my internal boundaries. Maybe I am, doing something that is slipping out of self-respect. Maybe I'm not getting the sleep I need, or I am doing too many things at once. I am not aligning my time with how it needs to be. So really, self-respect starts with me. And then the outer world will reflect that back to me. And of course, keeping this in tandem with reality. There are still, situations where you might have to engage with people that don't respect you, and they are simply bullies, and they are, they don't have a good bone in them. And it's really keeping your self-respect no matter how they try to knock you down, how they attempt to destroy you, and keeping your self-worth intact. Number 3, I respond once, clearly, then I move. No spiraling, no essays, no back and forth that drains me. It's very clear. I am not, chasing, and this will come up in another standard here in a few minutes. I am not chasing for an answer. If it's silence, silence is the answer I need, and I quickly move on. CEOs of, multi-billion-dollar companies or multi-million-dollar companies, they make fast decisions. And typically when someone says, oh, I need to pray about it, I need to think about it, that is usually they already know the answer and they're stalling on it. And so when we can move into a place where we make quick aligned decisions, some things, this is not 100% across the board. Some things do need to be paused. Like, okay, I will respond to that email because it's really upsetting. And I know if I respond right now, it's not going to be clear. It's not going to come from a place of power. I will respond in 24 hours. That's one example of where you would not make a fast decision. A fast decision is like, this is aligned, I know it's aligned, and I'm going to move forward with that. You just make a very clean, clear cut line in the sand. And you're not negotiating with yourself of like, should I do this? Should I do this? And then you just get into like the pros and cons, and you make a clean decision and you move forward with integrity, with a lot of care and compassion for yourself on that. Number 4, the 12 standards. My nervous system is a priority. If it dysregulates me, it's not small, it's information. If you listen to last week's episode, nervous system care has been a big focus this year, and really the last 3-4 years, I would say. Really tending to my nervous system, what beliefs are wired in there that I'm rewiring, what triggers me, what upsets me, where am I feeling powerless, helpless, and bringing my nervous system back into a state of calm, of regulation. And the nervous system is simply doing its job. It's keeping you safe. There's nothing wrong with feeling triggered. Your nervous system literally thinks it is being killed. It's death. And sometimes it could be an ego death. Other times it could be, like centuries ago, our ancestors were getting chased by lions, by animal predators. We don't have that today. Today, our stress is different. It's hostile environments. It's abusive environments. It's environmental toxins and overload. It's, junk food. Like, our nervous system today is a completely different nervous system than it was centuries ago. And yet our nervous system still has those imprints of survival, fight, flight, freeze. And the goal is to really move it into a state of abundance, gratefulness, a state of fullness. And again, this is not necessarily, people think abundance is money. That's, yes, it's part of it. It's also being full with peace and calmness and like clearness in your system, where you can sleep, where you can receive an upsetting email and it doesn't faze you. And if it does faze you, you simply have the tools to navigate it and you let it pass through your system. So let's take an animal, in the jungle or a safari, when they are chased and the predator is no longer, their prey. The prey that was being hunted literally shakes it off. And that's what humans need to do. So that is a nervous system regulation technique of like literally shaking your arms, your hands, your legs. And when and if it, something dysregulates you, thank it. Thank you for taking such good care of me. And then moving into whatever protocol is appropriate for you in that moment and what you need. Sometimes it might be a longer protocol. Sometimes it might just be a short little triage that you can like move through it. And that is one thing that I have been really practicing this year, is really giving my nervous system the safety it needs. One recent thing I have done for nervous system is helping my body feel safe at night. And that is simply putting on a pair of socks, keeping my feet warm as I go to bed. And that simple tactile reminder of like, I'm safe, I'm warm, I'm covered, I'm protected. So it's those little things like that add up to such amazing results that are actually big things. I say little things in quotes. Number 5, I choose truth over performance. I don't contort to be liked. I'd rather be real than polished. And that goes for this podcast. I do not edit these podcasts. There's no intro music. There's no outro music. It literally is I hit record and I hit stop. There is no editing on these podcasts. And it's really keeping it real. The same thing that I did for Instagram. I don't use Instagram filters on any of my photos. That I started that a couple months ago. Because, the world wants authenticity more than ever, and yet we have more filters on our life now than ever. Whether it's anything from like plastic surgery to, really altering our appearance through, injections, so many different ways where people are altering themselves. Maybe it's altering their body appearance. Perhaps it's even altering themselves with how they speak, with how they act in order to be accepted by someone else, in order to fit in. And we don't need to fit in. We are already the perfect person we are with exactly who God made us to be. And so that is the truth. The truth is that you are a lovable, worthy, valuable human, and that's what the world needs. And there are ways to improve your life without damaging and putting toxins into your body. Number 6, I am allowed to change my mind. This is one of the 12 standards. I recently had this come into my field, and I changed my mind on something. And instead of justifying it or, making excuses, it was like, this is how I'm moving forward. This came into my awareness, my field. And these are the steps I am taking immediately. I'm taking immediate action to remedy this situation, and we are moving forward. And so you don't have to wait for a date. You don't have to, that's why I always say like every day is January 1st. And we could have a whole podcast episode on the whole, Mayan Gregorian calendar. That's for another day, another time. Excuse me. Taking a sip of some tea. I'm drinking a rose blend this evening. So you are allowed to change your mind. When new data, new info comes into your life, maybe you need to make, abrupt changes immediately. Maybe it happens over the course of a week, a month, a couple months, a year. And that is maturity. The longer you wait to make a change, the longer you are going to stay stuck, sick, and sad. Number 7 for the 12 standards. I don't chase clarity from people who benefit from my confusion. If someone keeps it muddy, it's not misunderstanding, it's their strategy. And so there was another situation that came up. This person said they were going to do something and they didn't. I sent, I think, 2 or 3 follow-up messages. And I was like, you know what? They're giving me the signal. They're giving me the response that I need by silence, that they are not interested. No problem. We are not aligned for whatever reason it is. Does not mean anything about me. And it typically means something about their capacity, about their limiting constructs. And I'm going to move on with my life. I will not chase people who do not want to be in my field. I know the value I bring to an organization, to someone's life. And I hold that with reverence and with sacredness. And when someone doesn't, follow up with what they said they would do, that's a really good indicator that we are not aligned, because integrity is so important. When someone says something that they're going to do something, and then they don't follow through with that, or at least give an explanation like, hey, after our conversation, I was thinking about this and it's just not aligned. Instead, it's just a complete ghosting. That is also an indicator, you know what? I don't want to work with that person. I don't want to be in, a business partnership with them. And so I don't chase from clarity. I don't chase. And most people think chasing in a romantic sense, and it is in so many different life situations. Number 8, I keep receipts and I keep peace. I document what matters and I don't live in the drama of it. So, this is not necessarily word for word that I keep receipts. I keep receipts in terms of pin marks in information. It's more of a metaphor than the actuality of it. I document what needs to be documented, and then I live my life. I don't live in the drama or the energy that wants to suck me into it. I have boundaries, because there's always a receipt on, on the time, on the energy, that bandwidth. And it's like, no, I do not consent to giving a receipt for this. I am keeping my power. You can call it money, your currency. I'm keeping my currency of power, peace, and purpose. And you are not entitled to it. That is mine, and I'm not going to live in your drama. Number 9, I do not abandon myself to be understood. Misunderstanding is not an emergency. So when someone doesn't understand me, that's usually about them. There's obviously room for self-reflection. Did I present that in the way it needed to present itself? And it's back to the other point too. I'm not contorting myself to be liked, to be loved. I know my worth. I know my value. I stand firm in that. And when someone doesn't want to be in my energy, that is their loss. And it is also a signal of their capacity, of what they can and cannot hold within their nervous system. And I have incredible compassion for them. Number 10, my pace is sacred. Rushing is how I lose myself. I move with intention. And I'm really glad, again, that I have typically lived a life of very mindful living. Of course, there's been situations and circumstances where I've not always done this. For the most part, I have really been mindful of like, oh, that's really interesting how that's showing up. How am I making this decision today? And again, until you have awareness, you can't have change. And that's why Carl Jung's quote is so powerful. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life and you will call it fate. And so really realizing this is my pace. Maybe I am not moving as fast as someone else would like me to. That is for them to decide. This is how I am moving. Maybe I'm moving too fast for someone. Maybe I'm moving too slow. Again, this is my life. I am the queen of the car, for this analogy. And they are simply either a passenger or a bystander. They are not, I'm the author of my story. They are not. Maybe they contribute sentences and they don't get to write the ending, the chapters, the headlines. That is for me to do. Number 11, I let outcomes unfold while I stay anchored. I can't control the world. I can control my standards and my response. This is a really big one for so many people. If any of these have not landed with you, I hope this one does. When you can control your response to triggering high voltage situations and circumstances, this is how you keep your power and you stand firm in who you are. So I can't control what other people do, what other situations do. I can control, to the best of my ability, so God help me, to have the support systems, to have those nervous system regulation techniques and tools. And I don't have to react. That could be an option. The aligned option for me is how I respond. And when I respond with power and peace and purpose and firm on who I know I am, that ripples out into the universe and energetically sends a signal to the universe that she means what she says and we're not going to mess with her. Number 12, I build my life like it's meant to last, because it is, because it will. There's no more temporary choices that create permanent stress. And, really building a life that will leave a legacy for, generations to come. How I've weathered domestic violence, intimate partner violence, how I've weathered, my young child being trafficked, how I have handled, complete devastation and, so many really big things. And I don't let that define who I am. Other people would love to slap labels on me, and I don't subscribe to that. My label is love and light and bringing healing and hope and health to every soul that desires it, because we have, 8 billion people on this planet currently in 2025-ish, 8 billion-ish people. And we all need to heal our souls, our soil in service to source, to the one who created this all. And, speaking of source, this is why the war on mothers is so detrimental. We call Mother Earth for a reason. In the same way that humans treat Mother Earth is the same way that mothers are being treated. And until that changes, until mothers are respected and cherished and honored and loved and not used and not seen as disposable, burned at the stake. Women were burned at the stake, and today they're being burned at the stake in different ways. And so, through the generations, things kind of pivot, like I said a little bit ago, we're no longer being chased by tigers, saber-toothed tigers. We're being chased by all these other environmental type stress. And so things just change is just a little bit different. So we're not necessarily burning women at the stake. We are burning them at the altar called family court. So part of my mission for 2026 with these standards is really elevating mothers, bringing us together. I have the Glow Up Sisterhood. It is a collective where we provide healing and virtual circles, and it's free for women, for mothers who have experienced, intimate partner violence, custody nightmares, battles, dealing with abusive exes, communication still, post-divorce, and really supporting them. And when we support women and mothers and respect them, the world will change. And then really bringing men into personal growth. Like I have said in previous podcasts, only less than 10% of men participate in personal growth. And I truly believe that is why we have so much destruction against women. Men really have some very deep wounds to be healed, especially, like the mother wound as an overarching adjective for that. And, really offering these men resources and bringing them into a place of personal growth. And when we can respect the mothers and when we can invite men into healing whatever it is that is plaguing them, I believe that our world will change. So I would love to hear what standard from this list stood out to you, which one you want to implement or build into your life going into 2026. And let this become your lifeline. Let this become your normal, your baseline. And again, if you want support installing these standards into your real life, boundaries, follow through, weekly decisions, please get in touch with me, and I would love to support you through different offerings that we have in the contribution-based model. And it is an incredible blessing to be able to share my story and my life's work with you in this method. So, please leave a 5-star review on podcast platforms where you're listening to this. And then a short disclaimer for this podcast: contributions are voluntary and designed to support project-related expenses and operations. No portion of contributions is intended to constitute personal income to the creator. And so with that, this wraps up the last episode of 2026. Thank you so much for joining me. I look forward to bringing you new content in 2020. Did I just say 2026? This is the last episode of 2025 as we head into 2026. This is real, raw, and live. This will not be edited. Pardon for that. And yeah, I am really looking forward. I have some amazing things planned for 2026, and I can't wait to share them with you. And together we are supporting the vision and the mission of bringing health, healing, and hope to every soul that desires it. And it's a transformed life in mind, body, and spirit. I will see you next year. Have a beautiful day.